The truth about Fagioli's father. Part 1. Three scientists, Papaia, Banani, and Ravioli, along with their assistant Igor, work at Nassau. They begin to take an interest in creationism. Alarmed, their superiors send them to a psychologist. Professor Fagioli, a questionable character, determined to get them fired by making them seem insane. Fagioli's office. Papaia leaves the room and Fagioli remains seated at his desk, pretending to read some papers. At a certain point, his gaze drifts off into the void and he stays motionless, as if frozen. Flashback. Fagioli's father's house. Dawn. Father, loudly, seriously, "Wake up, everybody up. There's no time to waste." Inside the bedroom, young Fagioli bolts upright. Next to him, his brothers do the same. Still half asleep, they hurry to straighten the blankets, fluff the pillows, make the bed, all in silence. "Father, I want beds tight as drums, and a neat line for the bathroom. Move it." The children heads down, form a single file line, and rush to the bathroom. They wash their faces with cold water without saying a word. Every gesture is quick, precise. Their father is already waiting at the house entrance. "Father, grab your hoe. Today we work." The children grab the hose leaning next to the door. They march outside in a line, one behind the other, heading toward the field like little soldiers. Once there, they line up straight, backs upright, eyes downcast. Their father watches them in silence, pacing in front of them like a commander, inspecting his troops. Then he stops, adjusts his hat, puffs out his chest. Father, solemnly. "Remember, my sons, you don't touch the earth on a whim." Pause. Father, raising his voice. "You hoe with respect, with real hunger. The hoe is your only teacher. Discipline is your only ally. And if anyone thinks they can skip the hard work, well, they already know what's coming." The children, including Fagioli, nod silently, gravely. Father, shouting, "Work position, hoe now." They begin breaking the soil with effort under their father's watchful eye. Fagioli clenches his teeth. Sweat starts pouring down his forehead immediately. But he keeps going without a word. Determined, proud. Igor, voiceover. Some had a childhood and some had a field to hoe. Part 2. From the kitchen window, his mother and grandmother watched little Fagioli working alone in the garden. No father, no brothers, just him. A 6-year-old child, with a hoe in his hands, and a distant, vacant stare. Mother, every morning, at the same time. He wakes up on his own, puts on his shoes, and goes out there to pretend he's working the land. Grandmother. In his imagination, it's his father giving him the orders. The mother wipes away a tear with the back of her hand. Mother. He talks to himself, repeats those phrases. Keeps talking about his father like he was some army sergeant teaching him discipline. Grandmother. He wasn't like that. You know he wasn't. The mother nods slowly, lowering her gaze. Mother. He was kind. He'd wake him up with a smile. He'd tickle him out of bed. He'd kneel beside him to teach him how to plant a tomato. He never even raised his voice. The grandmother keeps looking outside, fixes her gaze on that still child in the garden. Grandmother. It was a real trauma. His father collapsing like that, right in front of him. The mother closes her eyes for a moment, trying to contain her emotion. Mother. And since then, he's been stuck there, frozen in that moment. Grandmother. It's like he created another father. One who was stronger, stricter. One who would never leave him. Silence. The grandmother pulls the shawl tighter around her shoulders. The mother sets the coffee cup down on the windowsill, no longer able to look outside. In the garden? Fagioli is still there, working with the hoe in his hand, eyes lost in the void. Fagioli, discipline is everything. Igor, voiceover. Poor Fagioli, I really do feel bad for the guy. Still, trauma or not, nobody's forcing you to grow up wielding a hoe. Part 3, flashback. Fagioli's garden, dawn. Fagioli's father is already in the garden, working with a hoe in hand. From the doorway, little Fagioli watches him. Father, turning to him with a tired smile. Come on, champ. Today it's your turn, too. Fagioli runs out and stands next to him with his little toy hoe. He mimics his movements. He chuckles softly, proud to be at his father's side. The father pauses for a moment. He wipes his forehead as if trying to push away the fatigue. Takes 2 steps back, stumbles. Fagioli freezes, watching him in confusion. Father, leaning on the hoe, trying to catch his breath. Hold on, just a second. His breathing grows shallow. A hand clutches his chest. His eyes glaze over. Then, the father collapses to the ground without a sound. Fagioli. Dad? The child kneels beside him, gently shakes him. Fagioli. Dad, come on, get up. The mother rushes out of the house, screaming her husband's name. The grandmother follows, already dialing the phone. Mother, desperate, kneeling beside her husband. Call an ambulance, now. Little Fagioli stays there, frozen, eyes wide open. The siren of the ambulance grows closer. 2 paramedics hurry into the garden with a stretcher. They lift the man onto it. The mother climbs in too, crying, while the grandmother stays with Fagioli. The siren fades into the distance, slicing through the morning silence. Little Fagioli remains there, still kneeling, hands resting on his dirt-covered knees, staring blankly at the exact spot where his father fell. The grandmother approaches, kneels beside him, strokes his hair. Grandmother, with a trembling voice. Fagioli, sweetheart, come inside. But he doesn't move, doesn't answer, doesn't cry, doesn't say a word. Igor, voiceover. Oh, come on, I don't believe this. Fagioli exchanged a good father with a tyrant. Thank goodness he became a psychologist. Imagine if he'd gone into retail. Part 4, flashback, Fagioli's house, late afternoon living room. Grandma has invited 2 neighborhood friends over for tea. 3 women sit in a circle, cups in hand, speaking in hushed voices. 10-year-old Fagioli is also in the living room, focused on coloring a picture book. Friend 1, with a compassionate tone. Poor man. So young. It was all just so sudden. Grandmother, nodding, eyes down on her cup. A massive heart attack. He didn't even have time to call for help. Fagioli, under his breath, barely audible. Massive heart attack. Friend 1, I heard he was a well-known writer. Grandmother, yes, he wrote for a psychology magazine and also taught at the university. Friend 2, my husband was one of the first to arrive. He said he found him there, collapsed on the ground among the tomato plants. Grandma closes her eyes for a moment, inhaling slowly. Grandmother, sighing. He loved working in the garden so much, and Fagioli followed him every step of the way. Friend 1, a real tragedy so hard to bear, especially for your daughter. Grandmother, voice trembling, caressing the teacup in her hands. Yes. And him? Gestures slightly towards the living room. Ever since that day, he's been traumatized. Fagioli keeps coloring, pretending not to hear. Igor, voiceover. 10 years old, a dead father, and 3 ladies calmly narrating your trauma while you're still in the room. Lovely afternoon, Grandma. Waiting room. The door opens. Papaia steps out of Fagioli's office. Banani, how did it go? Papaia, I'm not sure. That Fagioli's a weird guy, unpredictable. Ravioli. Now Igor's the only one left. Papaia. Yeah, I can't wait for this whole thing to be over. Banani, Igor, what are you waiting for? Knock on the door. Igor stands up and knocks. Igor, excuse me, may I? No response. He gently opens the door and peeks in. Igor, there's no one in here. Banani, maybe he went to the bathroom. Ravioli, you'd better wait until he calls you. Igor, Good idea. Banani. What did he ask you? Papaya. He threatened me with a hoe, made me kneel on dried chickpeas, and forced me to eat fish with broccoli. Ravioli. Gross. Glad he didn't do that to me. Banani. Sorry, but in my opinion, that guy is completely nuts. Did you see when he talks to the sock? Papaya. I don't know what to think anymore. Maybe it's better if they fire us. Ravioli. Speaking of which, let me introduce you to Paco, an old school friend of mine. I ran into him by chance while he was walking down the hallway. He used to work here, but in the other wing, so I never saw him before. Papaya. Nice to meet you. I'm Papaya. Paco. Pleasure's mine, Professor. Papaya. You used to work here? Paco. Yes, but then I discovered the truth and I left voluntarily. This Papaya. The truth? Paco. Yes, the one written in the Bible. The infallible word of God. Papaya. So you also... Paco. Yes, I went through the same process you're going through. Ravioli. Paco's been telling us all sorts of fascinating stuff. Like evidence for a young Earth. Just 6,000 years old, not billions.